Can you guys guess? This plant here, when we talk about divas, she's a diva. My point being with this plant is if I tend to it and just make sure all the check boxes are marked for her, she will thrive. But if I forget about her or if I move or change something, she's not gonna do so great. And so this is one of the things that it just reminds me as I look at her. I'm like, oh, I love having you around, but in life I would not want to be like you. Hi everyone, welcome back to my Mommy's Life channel where I share with you guys my journey as a first-time mom, business, and business owner. If you guys are new to this channel, a big welcome. And of course I want to take a minute to thank you guys for tuning in and watching all my videos. And I had such great positive feedback from my last video that I decided to do a reprise and share with you guys a few more of my plants from my plant collection. Now, if you guys didn't watch the last one, this is a new hobby of mine since I've been kind of spending more time at home with the pandemic and everything. We haven't been able to do some of our normal activities, and so I was getting bored. And if you know anything about me, I'm all about continually finding ways to challenge myself, challenge my mind, and I just have to be doing and learning something. So I decided to pick up indoor house plants. And at the same time, it has just made my house feel so vibrant and warm, and I just love all the greenery in my house. And so if you guys don't have any plants, I highly encourage you guys to pick one up. It's a great thing, and it's so fun to watch them grow. And I'm always wondering as I'm driving home, I'm like, oh, is there another leaf? Is there another flower that has blossomed? So it's really, really fun, and it keeps me very excited, and it's new every day. So I love it. I love plants, and I hope you guys will also take a minute to look at the plants around you and maybe take one home as well. So I'm going to share with you guys a few more of my plants today from my collection, and of course, like in all my videos, also talk a little bit about life and what I've learned from plants and nature on this journey of taking care of plants. So here we go. One of the things that I have learned from plants, and I have a pretty diverse group of plants now. I have many types and varieties. Some of them are more demanding than others. Some I would call them divas, and some of them, you know, you can really neglect them, neglect them quite a bit, and they're very forgiving, and even if they start to decline, they'll bounce back if you give them a little bit of love. So this here is my Calthea White Fusion. You can see she's got beautiful variegated leaves. I just love the green and the white, and it's just really beautiful. It's a really nice plant to look at. But can you guys guess? This plant here, when we talk about divas, she's a diva. The temperature range, the amount of humidity that she needs, it's very demanding. She has very small range of temperature. She likes to be wet, but not too wet, and definitely doesn't like to be dry. The leaves, if it doesn't get enough sunlight, it might reverse back to just green. But at the same time, if you don't give her enough light, it'll also suffer as well. Not to mention humidity, and we're in Washington, and so in the cold winter months in the house, it's definitely not humid enough for these tropical plants. So my point being with this plant is it's tough. You know, when things are really good, life is great, right? You know, you have a stable job, economy is great, there's no worry in the world. You can do just fine. You do great, actually. If I tend to it and just make sure all the check boxes are marked for her, she will thrive. But if I forget about her or if I move or change something, she's not gonna do so great. And so this is one of the things that it just reminds me as I look at her. I'm like, oh, I love having you around, but in life I would not want to be like you. Being hardy, being sturdy is really key to success and continuing to thrive in life. So, you know, it's a beautiful plant, but it's hard to keep alive. On the contrary, I have this guy here. This is my ZZ plant. Now, she is super low maintenance. She will forgive you if you forget about her for weeks. you can walk away and she'll be just fine. You can give her very, very little light, and the photosynthesis and everything will still go on. I mean, it won't go as great as if you gave her optimal conditions, but by all means, you're not going to be risk killing this plant. And the other thing that's really cool about plants like ZZ plant is you can see how thick their stems are down here. It gets pretty stocky in comparison to my Calthea, which, you know, it's very, very thin leaves and stems. And what I've learned, these plants, one of the reasons why it is so hardy and it's a survivor is the fact that it knows how to retain water. It has a system. In evolution, it gave it a system so that the stems, it's so thick because there's extra water that's actually kept in there. And that's why you can forget about her for weeks. You can go on vacation and come back and she'll be just fine, because this plant knows how to conserve. This plant knows that it has reserves on bad stormy days. And that is the type of plant we all need to be, especially right now, you know, in times that are tough and a lot of people are suffering. You know, it just reminds me how important it is to always have savings, always have reserves, have a plan B. Don't, you know, spend and live beyond your means, because everything in life is cyclical. You'll have good days and bad days, and the bad days will come. It's inevitable. But be prepared. It's key. And I'm so proud of this plant, because in evolution, you know, nature has ways. And that's a very, very interesting thing as I'm raising plants, is whether we're humans, animals, plants, there are fundamentals that transcends, you know, all species, and the ability to survive and the things that, you know, make us good survivors, it's the same for all things. And so the better that we can have reserves, keep that little bit of extra change in our back pocket, you know, don't, like I said, spend beyond your means. These are things that are going to help us weather the storms. So I love my ZZ plant. It's very, very simple. You know, you could see that the foliage is not as intricate and fancy and flashy as my Calthea is. But when times are scarce, when resources are scarce and times are tough, who do you think is going to survive? Definitely my ZZ plant. So look beyond, you know, the fancy shiny things in life, and, you know, make sure you have a little bit of reserves in your back pocket. So beautiful, but don't be like this in life. Be more like my little ZZ plant. The last thing I wanted to kind of share with you guys, I think because we are so many months into this pandemic, that people are, I think, starting to lose a little bit of that hope. Positivity is not as prevalent, and people are just tired. They want, you know, to go back to the way it was. One of the things that I was so surprised, I've got this little fern, well, it's not very little, it's really big now at this point. I've got this fern with me, and this fern, let me tell you the story of my fern. This fern was actually part of a terrarium. I had 2 other plants potted in this pot, and over time, this fern was the only thing that survived. It completely dominated and just took over the space of the other 2, to the point where I was like, oh, it's hopeless. You know, now it's just my fern plant, which I was okay with. But then when I went to go repot it recently, believe it or not, I found one of my plants, my nerve plant that was planted in here at the time I brought these home. It's starting to come back. Let me show you. Let me see if I can show you the plant. Let's see if I can pull this back and show you. Can you see those little pink leaves down here? That's a little nerve plant. It's a little pink variety. Why I wanted to show you this is because it's so impressive. It's like a miracle to me that everything was taken up by this other plant, and somehow this plant survived. It came out of the woodworks. It's literally pitch black in here, right? At the base of this whole plant. Somehow it was able to come out of the dirt, resprout, and now is starting to come back. And so I just want to remind all of you guys that miracles do happen. So I hope you guys continue to spread positivity to all those around you, because we will make it through this. We will. We just have to stick together, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until we meet again, make sure you subscribe and check out my other videos that I've got posted, and we'll see you next time. Bye.